Hello everybody, Seth, D-MTargets here to talk about the KRG 180 Xray chassis for the CZ455. Comes a little dirty, just came in from shooting it and trying to do some video, but the wind and the airplanes and everything just wasn't quite getting along. So here we are in the shop. Brief overview of the chassis. Standard KRG buttstock. Fits CZ455, no machining, nothing, just take the chassis out of the box, bolt it on. The chassis is adjustable for length pull via spacers here, which I've added. You can also adjust this up and down. This is not a quick adjust. You're going to have to actually break out some Allen wrenches to get that done. The cheek piece is adjustable. You can change the forestock however you'd like it. Once again, not necessarily a quick adjust, but you can definitely get it done. Overall impressions of this, it has made this gun more accurate, and I'm going to say that's because the good solid metal connection that you get with the chassis system, similar to like a bedded stock. So it was an improvement over the factory laminated wood stock. I love the ergonomics on it. Now, I run KRG on my match rifles, personal match rifles, so having the ergonomics the same is a big plus to me. But I do like the vertical pistol grip that you're going to get with the KRG. I like the flat forend. You know, all these things are good for me and good for practicing with the 22, and that's a big part of the whole reason for the 22. Issues. Perhaps with this magwell, you see the factory magwell is utilized, but you have all this dead space in here. It's easy enough to get the mags to go in. You know, when you can see what you're doing there, release, just reach in there and grab it. However, if you're on time and trying to do it without looking, doing it by feel is a little more difficult than I'd like. I'm sure with enough practice I'll get really good at it, but if KRG was to say make some sort of guide plate in there that helps drop that mag into where it needs to be, that'd be pretty awesome. The rings that I had on here in the stock, once I threw it into the chassis, were almost a little on the low side. By moving the buttstock down just a little bit, it resolved itself and worked pretty good. That's something you may want to be aware of. If you do get this chassis, you may want to step up to a little taller ring, or in this case I'd probably step up to a Picatinny rail in the same size ring, and that'd give me another 1/4 inch of altitude. One thing I really like is the fact that it comes with the sling swivel stud for the bipod. I run a Harris bipod, so that works great for me. And they have included QD cups, both front and rear, for sling, which the earlier KRG chassis did not have that. So that's definitely a big plus. Some people complain about replacing these components in here and having to take this forestock apart. I'll walk you through the process. It's really not too bad, and it's not something you're necessarily going to be doing in the field, but in the field you got 5 minutes, you can get it done. Let's see, this bag rider or lower bumper, that's adjustable forward and back. You can change the pistol grip to a narrower, fatter, depending upon your needs. That does not come with the chassis. I think you have to order that separate from KRG. But it does come with the spacers you need to adjust your length of pull. Comes with all the screws, all the hardware. Literally take it out of the back box, screw it on, go shooting. Brief demonstration on how to mount and dismount the Kinetic Research Group 180 Xray chassis. For the CZ455. It's really straightforward. So I'll start off by dismounting the gun. She's empty. often you do this in a gun vise, but I never do. It's really not difficult. So first thing we'll go over, these are 2 action screws. We'll just set those aside for the moment. What we're going to do is we're going to change the accessories here on the rail here, on the fore end of the stock. So what I found the best way to do is you simply remove these 2 Allen screws on each side of the mag well. It's for 4 total. And these don't really go anything critical, so don't worry about torque value. Just tighten them down till they feel snug. You know, maybe a little Loctite if you're super happy with your setup and you don't want any vibrations because they are going into metal. I think this is, I'm not exactly sure what size this Allen wrench is. Maybe 4mm. It's metric, I'm pretty sure though. So we have now removed the 4 screws on each side of the mag well. The fore end simply slides off, revealing the backbone of the chassis. This chassis doesn't have a full length rail like the Whiskey 3 or the Xray do. I'm not sure about some of the other chassis because the Xray and the Whiskey 3 are the ones I'm most familiar with. If you need to replace these pistol grips, you can take that off there and do that. Alright, set that aside. So using the same wrench you used to take those off, you've got 3 Allen screws. Place your finger over the hole in the bottom with the captured nut, break it loose, unscrew it. Just drop the nut out, set to the side, repeat, A, B, and C. This one is down in the QD mount. It's a shorter screw, so pay attention to where that goes. I mean, it will be pretty bleeding obvious when you do it, but dump out your 3 screws. So you get your 3 screws and 3 nuts. Pretty straightforward. Now you separate the halves, just pull them apart, and there you go. Just comes apart just like that. Right? So say I wanted to put this Picatinny rail section on. This is one of the ones that was included with the chassis. What I recommend doing is actually pre-installing your bolts and the little threaded inserts onto them. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that and you're just going to drop that into the notch. Make sure you got enough room that it'll let you just drop it right on in there, like so. Take the other half, set it right on, sandwich in place. Insert your nuts into the holes there. I'm sure somebody just had a lot of fun with me just saying that. So put your pinky over it, drop your bolt in. And the pinky's just to retain that nut. There is a hex indent cast or molded into the stock to hold everything in place. You just got to keep it from falling out when you get the screws in. Don't need to hand fist this stuff. It's just going into plastic. So I mean, the screws are and the nuts are all steel, but you know, you're just squeezing together a little plastic. You don't need to get carried away. Just give it a good snug. You're good to go. Now that that's on, just tighten up your screws because those threaded inserts in there will capture that. Boom, we just put that on. That wasn't so hard, now was it? Slide it on. bolts in there. Put them down. Well, once again, these things don't need to be reefed. If you do encounter an issue with them, you know, vibrating loose, which I doubt you'll see, but if you do, a little purple Loctite will solve that issue for you admirably. Okay, since I got this thing apart, I'll show you how to adjust the length of pull and the height. Obviously your comb height is just a thumb screw here, right? No biggie. Now using the same Allen wrench we used on that, you're going to see two small holes in the buttstock. Just insert that in and find the Allen and unscrew it. You may encounter a little bit of a dragging because you're running a screw through rubber there. There we go. So you just find where the Allen wants to sit, drop it in, just unscrew it. Fairly straightforward. You may want to try to do it kind of evenly, simply because the screw is captured by the buttstock, by the rubber, and it'll just drag a little more if you're pulling one out a lot more than the other. Alright, so now that I got that out, got my two screws, and I've got the spacers. Now KRG sends 3 spacers, and it comes with no spacers in it and a shorter screw, and then they've got the 3 spacers and 3 sets of screws, so you can adjust your length of pull with how many spacers, and you use the appropriate screw. To get the screw out, just push and it pops right out through the little rubber hole there. Same thing, push it back in, and it's having its happy place. Now to adjust where it sits in relation up and down, you've got 2 Allen screws there. I don't want to lose this adjustment because it's my adjustment and I like it like that. But you loosen these 2 and you can slide it up and down. Watch these captured thread inserts will fall out if you take that too loose, and you won't be able to get them back in if you move in the wrong spot. It's not the end of the world, it's just something that'll make you stop and have to redo something. You'll need to take these screws out just a little bit, probably 2 or 3 turns before the butt stock will actually move laterally. There is molded teeth or serrations in there that helps everything line up the way you want it to line up. So just move it up and down to your liking. Once you're there, just tighten these things down. Once again, don't need to get carried away with this stuff. Just good and snug's good. Now we're going to take our spacer plates, however many is right for your body, your butt plate. I like to just slide them through like that, drop it in like so. Now this may be easy to cross thread because you're fighting the rubber, so you want to be careful of that because you won't be able to feel it if it's dragging on the threads a little bit due to it dragging on the rubber of the butt pad itself. Those went in good. Alright, so now those are started. Well, that one's started. Probably a little easier if you use a gun vise, but my gun vise is buried under some stuff and I had to feel like digging it out. The hardest part of this is finding that Allen through the hole. Alright, there we go. On and off, back together. Now to throw the action into the chassis, we're going to take our action and we're just going to drop it in, being careful of our trigger. And what I like to do is I like to stand it on the butt while holding the action and the chassis together with my hand. Now your front bolt is a short bolt and it's got an Allen, not got an Allen, it's got a washer on it. You want to make sure you've got the washer on there. So I'm going to take my bolt here, put it on my Allen wrench, and I'm just going to run her in there. We're not reefing anything down, we just want to make sure that thread's in there by hand. Never torque anything until you get both in there. Okay. Now as I run them in until they touch, then I back them off the scotch. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bounce the chassis, the buttstock, against the table there to seat the action firmly against the back. And I'm going to tighten up the front, followed by the rear. I'm going to torque these to 25 inch-pounds, or 24 inch-pounds, I guess, because that's what my guy reads. There. Now I just go back and forth a couple times, make sure it's where it says it is. There you go, boys and girls. KRG Xray 180 chassis for the CZ455. That's how it goes together. That's how it comes.